Welcome to the video, guys. We're going to be on PROK, everybody's favorite, and this is my 3-mark game with the AMD 178B Tier 6 French wheelie light tank, right? This vehicle has been one of the easiest tanks for me to mark, arguably, because a lot of people just are not good in this vehicle. There's a lot of people that don't play it because it kind of sucks, right? But also, the people that do play it, I think just they all have the wrong idea of kind of how to play this vehicle. They're trying to do way too much active scouting with this thing, and the reality is this tank is not an EBR 105. Like, it doesn't do donuts like the EBR 105. You really just have to play this thing almost like a standard light tank without any view range and just use its gun. It does have good penetration on the heat shells, the HE shells, so use the high explosive shells to your advantage. 75 millimeters of pen at tier 6 is pretty good. So I'm going to play this thing kind of like most people would play it at first here, getting a little risky, want to kind of take a shot at the MT25 here to start off, and then I'm just going to poke like one more time. Yeah, at tier 6, man, you can kind of get risky with this. I would never do this at tier 10, you would get like obliterated, but you can kind of get a feel for, like, at tier 6 you can get away with this, you know. It's just like a, I don't know how to explain it, guys. It's almost like a sixth sense of your own, and you can just kind of tell, like, they send a good amount of people over this direction too, but people just aren't quite as good at this tier. They don't pay attention as much, and tanks don't hit as hard, etc., right? It's kind of difficult for me to explain, but I am always more aggressive at the lower tiers. So MT25 is kind of running away here, and AMD has also been spotted. He's back here. I'm trying to get shots into the MT25. For some reason, I didn't get a like a silhouette on him, but I saw the indicator that was green, so I just shot. One other thing to note about this tank, if you guys are new to watching my videos and haven't seen my other couple of videos on the AMD, the reverse speed is also one thing that's really effective with this vehicle. So the gun is fairly accurate. It's fairly accurate on the move, right? And the reverse speed is really, really good. So if you do something like poke this ridge, right? Like if say I wanted to poke this ridge, you could just back out. Instead of having to turn, just go backwards, right? Throw it in reverse, and you can do the same speed in reverse as you can going forward, pretty much. So eventually what I'm going to do is advance into this pocket. I'm just, again, this is another like sixth sense thing. I'm just noticing how passive this team is. I haven't really spotted anybody. I know we don't have a lot of view range, but at tier 6, like, I'm just going to take advantage of the rest of their team not really being that aggressive here and try and get into this pocket and play the game against the MT25, right? Basically, like, I call playing the game. Like, we're playing light tank versus light tank here, and I want to try and eliminate the MT25 so that I can continue advancing and spotting the enemy team. Look how passive my team is, man. Good thing Artie didn't hit me here. It might have penned. They have a Leaf, it looks like, and an M41. But watch how I'm able to outplay this enemy team, man. Like, again, the AMD, I think I have like 44% concealment on this vehicle, but I only have like 384 view range. And that is with bounty vents, bounty optics, and bounty low noise exhaust. So I have this thing stacked. I don't have brothers in arms, but I do have like full concealment, and I have the bounty equipment on it, and this is how I ended up 3-marking it, though I would argue I didn't need this at all, because again, the expected values for this vehicle are pretty gosh darn low, so it only took me like 60-something battles, I think, to 3-mark it. But again, man, you can't play this tank super aggressively. Like, again, people think you're supposed to make all these active scout runs. Everyone even thinks that you're supposed to make super duper active scout runs in tanks that don't have wheels, right? So they definitely expect you to do it when you have wheels, and the reality is this tank just can't really do that, man. It's just too slow. Like the EBR 90, EBR 105, even going down as far as the Hotchkiss, yeah, you could probably get away with it, right? But this thing is just kind of a turd. So, but watch how we're able to kind of outspot this team. The AMX ELC likely spotted the T67. In fact, I'm almost certain it was the AMX, because I clearly didn't spot this guy, and I don't think these guys did either. We also had a Type 64 on our team, so I think we had three lights, so 1 tier 5 and 2 tier 6. And now what I'm going to do is start playing this light tank game of going down the bush line and trying to use my view range and concealment to my advantage. Now, I have no view range, so how the heck am I making this work? It's really just concealment, guys. It's concealment and view range against you know, players that don't have as much concealment and view range. That's really all it is. And I want to say, a couple people have told me that a Yuxin did calculations where if you have more than 39% concealment and you're in a bush, like you're in a max concealment bush of 50% or whatever, that you actually need to get proxied in order to be lit. I'm assuming there's truth in that. He seems to be a very knowledgeable player with the game mechanics, so I'm going to trust that. And this could also be why we're able to outspot people here, because there's no CVS, right? This is all tier 6, so there's no CVS involved here. And this is simply just view range and concealment versus less view range and less concealment, right? We're able to spot the Stug here through the bushes. The Soto's getting lit again by me as well. Probably helping that I'm spotting him through this gap slightly, perhaps. And we're going to keep advancing, and we're doing this like an even 90. So for all the people that are always telling me I'm too passive, like, we are literally doing this in the worst tank possible at tier 6. This is the worst tank to make this play with at tier 6 as a light tank, right? Any other vehicle is going to have way more view range. Maybe not necessarily as much concealment, but definitely way more view range. And we made it work, guys, right? Again, we dodged the Artie by some miracle there, and eventually I just kind of take a shot here at the Stug because I know it's basically just Artie left at this point. This is just looking at the, you know, lineup over here. Everyone has been lit, and I'm like, okay, it's just the Artie. Everyone else is over here now. So I'm going to advance, right? And now we're going to kind of clean up the Artie here. I'm just slinging the HE shells at the Artie, trying to pen these guys. The M41 apparently has really trollish armor because the HE is not enough to pen the M41, even with 75 millimeters of pen, apparently. Or it's just the angles the shells were hitting, whatever, man. But we're able to clean this guy up and see how accurate the gun is on the move. That's one advantage of this vehicle, right? So if you do play this vehicle, just keep that in mind. The gun is pretty accurate on the move, and that's helpful. But again, this thing is kind of a turd. Like, honestly, man, I'd rather play almost any other light tank because there's just no view range. That's the biggest downside. Like, Wargaming, I guess, tried to nerf this thing a little bit. Perhaps. I don't know, because I never played it up until maybe 6 months ago or whatever, but maybe they tried to nerf it because people were complaining about wheelies, when in reality they did not have to nerf this thing. Like, this tank goes no faster than other light tanks. I feel like the view range should at least be like another, give it another like 30 meters or 40 meters of view range at least, man. Like, fully stacked out, I should not be at 384. I should be at like, at least give it like 420 or something like that, you know? Like, I feel like it just lacks so much view range, man, that you can't even play it like a light tank, right? We managed to do it in this game. Can you believe that? We did 3,000 spotting, guys, 1253 damage. And again, for all the people that say I'm too passive, look what we just did, man. Running through the bush line, like Whirls, just run through the bush line. Okay, man, we'll do it in the AMD 178B instead of any other light tank that would probably be better off. But we made it work, guys, and you know, we 3-marked this thing with ease. I know that this is adding to the score that I already have. So we were like 95% and some change. I don't remember exactly. It'll probably show in the M plates because the M plates would have been taken right after this game. And yeah, we'll see in the M plates, guys. But I think that's all I want to talk about. I like to talk a lot on PROK, but I think you can see what's going on here and how we kind of read the team. The team is fairly passive, and we're just the better team. Right? My team was very passive, but I feel like we just took advantage of them being too passive, right? So again, there's a balance between being too passive and being too aggressive, and this team, man, and you can't just blame the light tanks, right? Because there was no contest here. I ran right up here, got in this bush, there was no contest, guys. All their mediums went to the east. So you can't always be like, oh, it's the light tank's fault, you know? He did 13,000 spotting damage, but he was too passive because he went to the E1 bush instead of running down the bush line, and we lost. Like, it doesn't work like that, man. You need some teammates to like advance with you, and sometimes it takes like a heavy, like a hold down tank poking this ridge line to maybe spot a couple people and help out the light tank, man. You know? So like, I know how you guys feel about this map. Some people that are argumentative with me about playing too passively, but I'm telling you, like, when you play hundreds of battles on this map, you learn to be extremely, extremely passive. And again, have like that sixth sense of your own and understand what the enemy team is doing. So in this game, I just understood that they were being way too passive, and I was able to make this work. But in most games at high tiers, like if you get someone sitting in this bush up here with binocs, dude, you're not going to have a good time trying to go down this bush line because you're likely going to get spotted unless you're in a really small tank and you can meander your way through the bush line properly, right? So every time I'm on Prokhorovka, guys, I always have to emphasize these things, like be very, very, very careful on this map and do not get discouraged. Do not get annoyed when players in the chat are going to make fun of you, because it happens to, even to me, right? It happens to me, happens to Skill, happens to Steel, happens to all of us, and you just need to kind of let it go and play your game, man. And that's what we did here. But use caution on this map, guys. Use caution. So hope that all helps you out. Hope that I'm showing you kind of how you can make the bush line work by reading the enemy team, right? And let's get into the end plates, guys. I think I've talked about this enough. So did they close or something weird here? Let me close this. Actually, let's get a thumbnail quick. Let me just get a thumbnail, guys. What do you think? I think that looks pretty good right there. For some reason, it looks like the... I had them open, but I guess they closed for some weird reason. So here we go. And we'll also take a look at where the mark was. So it was 95.66%. So we actually... we were over 0.5%. We were 0.5% over, right? Almost like... What would this be, like 2/3% over? 95.66%. So with ease, we marked this thing in this game, right? And it was a mastery, guys. 3,100 spotting, 1253 damage, and easy peasy, man. No problem, you know. 1261 experience. We had 2 kills. That's it. I mean, I've explained a lot of things on this map to you guys, but whenever I'm on this map, I have to, like, I remind myself to really tell you guys in detail what I'm doing and explain to you guys why I'm doing what I'm doing, like why I'm passive, why I'm maybe more aggressive in some situations, how I'm reading the enemy team, that I'm looking at the team lineup and stuff like that. I'm looking at the map. I'm looking like where everybody might be. I'm doing a lot of 2 + 2 = 4. Like all this stuff, like I like to really, in some of my videos, I just kind of talk through the game, but when I play on Prokhorovka, I really like to just share my brain with you guys, because I know everyone always wants to know how to spot on Prokhorovka, right? And it just really depends on the situation, right? It really depends. This game was completely different than the one you probably saw a week or 2 ago in the Hawk 30 when I was explaining to you guys why I'm so passive. And in this one, we literally took a freaking AMD 178B down the bush line, and we were able to outspot the entire enemy team. Yes, it's tier 6, but how different is this game from the game we played in the Hawk 30, right? So it's just so dependent on certain situations, and you have to be able to read this as a light tank player. There's no direct answer I can give you guys, because a lot of you will ask me certain questions like, what do you do in this situation? And I'm like, it all depends, right? Like, I can't really give you an answer. It really depends on a lot of factors, right? Like who's been spotted on the map, where are the enemies likely, like where are they sitting, what are they in, like what tanks are they in, right? What tier is it? What vehicle are you in? You know, there's so many factors that go into it. How much HP do they have? How much HP do you have? What does your team lineup look like? Do you have support? Like, you see all these things, you have to just take all these things and be thinking about them all the time when you play a light tank. When you play a heavy or an arty or a tank destroyer, you just sit there. Like, you don't need to look at really anything other than maybe where your team is going and stuff. You just shoot your gun as a TD, you shoot your gun as an arty, and you brawl in a heavy, and you're really not worried about that much else. I mean, as a good player, you're still going to be looking at the map, you're still going to be looking at things and doing 2 + 2 = 4 equations in your head, right? But as a light tank player, like, you always have to be doing all these things. And that's why I like playing light tanks, because they're exhilarating, right? Like, there's always something going on. There's always something you can adjust to on the map, because you have such good mobility that you can be all different places in one game. So, again, man, like, they're the hardest class to play, but it's almost like with the light tank, you have the most responsibility. You guys ever seen the original Spider-Man? You know, with power comes responsibility. Like, this is how I feel in a light tank, right? You know, with great power comes great responsibility. That's how it is in a light tank, man. You have a big responsibility, and you need to always have your brain firing on all cylinders, especially on a map like Prokhorovka. And Here's another example, guys. So I know I babble on a lot, but I really like to talk to you guys in this way because I don't know any other streamers that do this. They don't sit here and just explain things to you guys like over, many minutes. They don't just sit here and talk to you guys about this. They just go, oh, well, I spotted this guy and I spotted that guy and hip hip hooray, we came out with 10,000 spotting damage and here you go. Like, I like to talk to you guys like I would have liked to have been talked to, when I was a noob, right? And I'm watching other people trying to learn. Lemming Rush is arguably the person that taught me the most, but I've watched a lot of people, a Yuxin, Kaizu, Skill for LTU, Steel Guts, like all these players, man, even Klaus Kellerman and stuff, Four Tankers and Dog. There's so many people that I've watched to get better at this game, guys. So I would urge you guys to do the same. You don't just have to come here and watch me. Watch everybody, man. Learn how to play the game, understand the game mechanics, and, just learn. YouTube's open, man. Like, there's so many videos on YouTube. Just learn, guys. If you want to get better. But I like to be unique in that way, in really driving home certain key points in my videos and sharing everything with you guys, even if it takes way longer on the video. Right? We're at 16 minutes. I'm gonna let you guys go, but I hope you enjoyed. Take care of yourselves. Bye bye now.